Also pull up the earnings calendar to see what else has their earnings at the moment. Nasdaq earnings calendar. Let's see. Put this here. So let's see. INTU is this market cap, and then Wednesday, and then ROST, and to take a look at in like 5 or 10 minutes. Nice. That's an interesting move here for workday to 222, and now we're back at our resistance here. And the moment we hit it or come close to it, that's really the level. And so both charts seems to be moving very, very similar. And into it, my God, from 642, that level was on there, immediately up a good 4 or 5%. Nice. If workday can close here the 5 minute above 236.62, that would be a level to basically blip back to flip into support. But we got to see how it closes in a minute. And then I think there's a ton of room for this workday chart to move back up. And we got the all-time high, or at least the main resistance there at 307, 308. And if we would get above that, I mean, that's really getting the party started for this thing. That's it's one impressive candlestick. You love to see them. And looks like Intuit is also making its way. So quick blip down to that level, 642.84, a little bit lower. And now we're already trading above 680. So things can go very quick and very drastically here. And the same thing goes for Intuit. So if we close a 5 minute above 674.9, that would be a potential support going forward. And it looks like workday is once again getting rejected from its resistance there. So the percentage moves here are quite insane. And I would say not even tradable really after hours. So I'm mostly interested to see whether we're going to gap up or down for these things tomorrow. Let's see. I'll also put on a third chart on there because these are not the only things that have their earnings, but they're the two most important things. So looks like the 5 minute candlestick here on Intuit is closing above resistance and for workday still below. So let's see now if 674.9 would flip into a support. So that's our previous resistance here. That would be the level to hold. Good. Let's take Kava on here as well. Kava group. Let's go to extended hours. All right. Gotta zoom out here a little bit for this Kava thing as well. Looks like this was making new all-time highs earlier this week. That's pretty interesting. It also means that it has a ton of room to test some levels, such as $96 or 91.68. Let's see. So I would probably be interested if this can give a move back down below $100, and basically everybody who bought above 100 then capitulates, and we can take it from there maybe. Let's see. For such a big candlestick, it's quite interesting to see so little volume on both of these tickers. That is typically not what you want to see. Also, for a nice sustained break above or below support or resistance, it helps if that break is made on a good amount of volume. Looks like workday is seeing that rejection. And just as Kava, I would be interested below 100. For workday, it would probably be below 200. So I have some lines here below me at 204.54 and then at 190.84. And that's really what I would love to see is, for example, you have a stock above 200 and here one above 100. So there's going to be tons of liquidity below that round number, and then probably it continues a bit further down and then does something like that, for example. Good. And for this Kava thing, of course, I can't be married to the idea that we have to come down. So maybe if we can get back above 103.6 and flip that level into support, we can move back to the highs and then basically keep making new all-time highs. And good. So you can already kind of see it here on the price action, how Intuit, at least for now, looks more convincingly bullish than Workday of the close and with their earnings coming in probably soon or maybe already. I'm not focused on the earnings numbers, by the way. So if you were to join this stream for the numbers, that's not what I'll actually be able to give you. The only numbers I'll give you is the relevant support and resistances here. That's really what I'm focused on. I also, by the way, this is not something that had its earnings today, but it's a nice earnings move there on Snowflake. I personally think that we're heading below $100 for that, probably below 90 even, but that's not the thing for the day. So what I'm drawing out here for Workday is ideally what I would like to see, or it's just basically gets and holds above 236.62. And then there's a price range all the way up to 260. So that would be a 10% price range, not bad at all, to potentially play some upside on Workday if we can get and hold above 236.62. So I would kind of use a long position tool here to kind of see what I would potentially get myself into. A long at 236.62 if we break and hold above that level, aiming for, let's say, 260 as a swing trade, and then giving it some room to the downside. Of course, for example, a 2.5 hour trade would be a stop at 227.4. Something like this is what I'm going to be looking at, or an option from lower here. And good. For now, I think we can keep these three on the chart. Kind of just follow along. This break for Intuit, it looks bullish, but as I said, such a big candlestick that gaps up kind of $50 on the very shallow volume. It wouldn't surprise me if we would get back below here, something similar as Workday, but we'll see. Also put in the volume here on the chart to the right. Right. Good. Oh, that's an interesting move here for Kava. Just absolutely melting up to 110, all from absolutely nowhere. So probably something coming in. Like always, you want to just stay calm and see how this 5-minute candlestick closes. But this is going for new all-time high. So this could and when something is going for the all-time high, something very obvious here would be to go to round numbers. So 110 is what we're currently at. And then if we can clear 110, I mean, 115, 120 would be next. But I'm just basically going to place a level here at 110, that round number. So we don't have any prior resistance there because we're jumping into all-time highs from what I can see. Just really want to make sure that that is the case. That is in fact the case. So 110, and then if we can get and hold above 110, then 115 would be next, etc., etc. But as I said, such a very big move. It incentivizes people to press the buy button, and then of course, the moment you press it, you're already 5-10% lower. That is earnings volatility. That's also why it's so important to wait for candlestick closes before making really any conclusions that, oh, it's bullish, oh, it's bearish. When this Intuit blipped down to 642, it also looked bearish, and look where we're at now. So even typically this first move that goes into a direction, both on FOMC events or news events or earnings, that's not always the case, but typically that first move into a direction is it's not the real move. And then, for example, you see they go to 110 just to incentivize some people to buy, just so that they can send it back below $100 again. So I look at the same scenario here as what I drew on the Workday here on Kava as well, which would still mean getting back below 100. But we'll see. Either this or a nice break above 110, coming back to it, and then basically continuing to 115, 120, 125, etc. So it's pretty nice price action, though. We love to see some candles like this. I mean, all day, really, on all these charts, it's basically been small candlesticks, pretty much going sideways and down. And it's only really upon this earnings that we get something. something going. Nice. Mm, 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 mm. Let me check up on the YouTube as well. Should be good. All right. Mm, 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 mm. Honestly speaking, I haven't done, and I never really do any fundamental analysis. So, if you were to ask me what do these companies do or produce, I would not be able to give you the answer. I think it's completely actually irrelevant as a trader, but to each their own, of course. Mm, 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 mm. And just like Kava Intui or Intuit is coming very close to its all-time high. So this is a very impressive chart, of course. Let's see where's that all-time high at for Intu. Actually, not too far from where we're at. Let's see. Maybe we've already passed it, right? Or we're at the moment we're passing it. Let's see on the week. So back in May we had a high. Let's see a couple years ago. This is the high that we need. The all-time high at 704, 704.3. I mean, that would be probably the level where we're heading to for this for Intui. Seeing that it's that close to its all-time high, it's but that, and again, this is not something that I'm gonna would take here after hours. But for example, coming back to 675 right now and flipping that into a support, basically leaves a $30 move to the upside to 704 there. So let's see, 749, 674.9 to 704.33. That's a 4% move, and for example, something like this. But that's just an idea, and I'm not trading anything after hours. But if we just stay stagnant here and not really go anywhere, then this could be very well a good move for tomorrow. And that's a nice closure. So now that this candlestick has closed, we can really say, yeah, that's a bullish one. It's not a huge wick to the top, and then a huge rejection immediately. So whoever is short here is definitely not comfortable on Kava. Fundamentals tell you what to buy. Technical analysis tells you when to buy. I'm not entirely against that statement. So to just say that, oh, it's a fundamentally sound company. I mean, if you buy Nvidia and you bought at the absolute all-time high, you really don't care about the fundamentals. And if you bought GameStop below a couple of bucks, below $5, you also don't consider the fundamentals there a problem. What do you think about GDC for tomorrow? I would need to. So GDC, is that your economic event, or is that a ticker, sir? With these abbreviations, I'm not always the ticker. GDC. We can take a quick look at that. Let's maybe get Workday out of here for a moment. And what do we think about GD Culture Group? Looks like it's an interesting week so far, up 287%. But the problem with that is, of course, the same thing. There's a ton of room and tons of levels here to basically retest. That means to come back to them. And so if you're gapping up massively like that, there's again tons and tons of room to get rejected. So overall, this chart is in a downtrend, right? That's what you cannot forget. So I wouldn't get too excited. And honestly, this chart doesn't look all that great from a bigger picture perspective. Every time it sees these kind of big bumps, it's basically price is high, not because it's bullish, but because some other people need to sell at high prices. So I don't like this chart, to be honest with you. But of course, this week is a massively green one. So if it gives a huge sell-off, I might be interested. Also, kind of looking here on top of this, these previous highs here are interesting to come back to and to test them. Would have a level there at 450, for example. I would really have a couple of levels, also one at 610. And let's see. I mean, interesting, but honestly speaking, I would probably have alerts at these levels, and I wouldn't be chasing anything on GDC. So you definitely want to be cognizant of the bigger picture chart there, which that thing is in a bear market. Good, or well, maybe not so good for GDC, but let's go back to Workday, WDAY, to stick with the earnings of the moment here. So this is getting smashed down. That's yeah, so important. This candlestick tests resistance, closes below it, and what follows is bearish. And this candle breaks above resistance, closes above resistance, and then what follows is not immediately bearish, right? And so it looks like Kava has found a strong resistance at 110. Getting above 110 is probably going to lead to 115, and then 120 would be the second round number. And so something with gold, for example, as well. Not many people here probably trade commodities or whatever, but gold is making new all-time highs, and it's hitting 2,500, 2,520, and it's very easy to basically kind of predict where it's going next. As long as it's making all-time highs, it's that next round number. Good. So on 10, that's it's also the good thing about, again, letting candlesticks close. There's no closure above 110. So instead of it being likely that it runs to 115, it's actually likely that it eats and comes to test some other levels below us. Nice. I'm going to keep these things on my watch list, all of them. Price action is cool. So Kava, new all-time highs, Intuit approaching all-time highs, and then Workday is potentially going to give us this something like this, right? That would be ideal. A huge move down below 190, 190.84, then getting back above 200, holding 205, and then running it back. That would be my preferred idea here. If I were to paint the candlesticks, that's how I would paint them. Good. Of course, this is not in one straight line down and then one straight line up, but it's kind of gives you an idea of the general direction. So I'm gonna keep that on there. Kava group. Thank you for the live. Any hope for serve? So, let's see what. So GDC, we looked at that. Selling tomorrow, I mean, it very much depends, and I think the person is already out of here, but everything depends on, of course, when did you buy, right? And whether tomorrow is a good sell, kind of depends on where you got in or not in at all. Any hope for serve? Is that also something that has earnings, as this is an earnings stream? Don't really see it, but let me make a quick sidetrack into serve. Is there any hope for serve is the question. I mean, if this is the chart that we're talking about, serve robotics, I don't really see the problem. Looks like this made a high at 25 bucks and is now trading back at 10. Okay. But you also got to, of course, look at how this thing jumped, right? This might very well come down and test some level. So same thing here. I would have 722 and 475 as two very good supports that not to become scared if it nukes down, but rather to I would look from 722 or from 475. That would be the support where I want to see the price come to before reversal, basically for serve. Thanks for the ticker suggestion, by the way. This looks very nice to me. This is worthy of being on my watch list, this serve thing. So serve robotics, that's nice. Let's put that on the watch list. I also wanted to put Workday on the watch list. And then what else? INTU can also go on there. And then lastly, Kava. This serve thing, yeah, they're all things, man. It's meaningless to me. So whenever I see earnings, right, it's It's kind of difficult to explain because English is not my native language, but it's kind of like everybody is focused on the name and they kind of tell themselves story. And like for example, the story is that oh yeah, Nvidia is chip producer and Pinterest is this and Neo is electric vehicles. And I'm here to say that it all of it is literally nothing, right? It's just a percentage game up and down. So being in the stock market and being then interested in what these companies do, it to me is just a game of support and resistance, a levels game. I don't even tire myself out with all the nonsense or the oh this like honestly speaking, when I see people whopping out models and so on, well, hopefully it works for them is what I think to myself, and then I just remind myself of the fact that playing based on levels works for me, seems to work for a lot of people. So we'll keep it to that. Serve into Kava. What was the thing? Workday, right? That was the thing that is coming down. See on the 5 minute. Mm, 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 mm. So just dwindling down into support. When I see red candlesticks like that, to me, it's not a buy. I would again need to see price come to me. And into it looks like this completely went stagnant, completely like a big move, and then the volume. See how prices, how the candlesticks are getting smaller in bodies, and the volume is just dying down. That kind of tells me that again, whoever is painting this chart is very happy with the price just sitting here and resting here, and that means that it's probably not going to do anything until tomorrow, really. I wouldn't expect a move that, oh, now takes you drastically above 700 or drastically below 650. I would expect price to basically hang out in this box. Um, Kava is actually the thing that has the most amount of sustained volume, so I'm happy. And also, if you're interested, of course, earnings calendar can very much help you with knowing where to focus, for example. So into WDAY, ROST is even another one, Kava, Bill, BMA, all of that has earnings after hours. So going to earnings calendar, then putting these charts on your trading view, putting on the volume and seeing where the volume is most sustained and having some good levels to play from. I mean, that's a good recipe for success. And so anybody also watching on YouTube, very welcome to come into Penny Boys, join my coaching and learn how to get these levels. Now, it's not really that interesting as price is just like I said on all these, basically on everything. The candlestick bodies are getting smaller. The volume is getting more shallow, except here for Kava. So this is really an interesting one. I'm personally going to play that confirmed break above 110 and the hold above that. So tomorrow between 10 and 11 a.m., I want to keep up with Kava and potentially then 115, 120, and we keep the party going. Good. I mean, I think we can watch another 5 minute candlestick print and close and then basically call it a day. I would highly suggest anybody who wants, you can keep these levels, of course, or make notes or put them on your chart or write them in a journal maybe or put alerts there. That can be helpful. All right. Just a waiting game. Kind of just playing with my pot the way that I want to see price action unfold. That's also really I personally like that. It's not that I'm trying to predict anything, right? Because I literally have a scenario that goes up and one that goes down. I just want to make sure that if price goes up and down or down, I'm not surprised and I have kind of the levels to play from. I don't have much interest in these stickers. Well, that's up to you, of course. Absolutely, don't ever let anybody else tell you what to trade. If this doesn't align with your taste, then there's no need to force anything. But good. I'm gonna kind of slowly dwindle out here this stream as well. Enjoying the sweet voice. I'm happy to hear it, Duco, man. I'm happy to hear it. Um, I'm actually pleasantly surprised when I saw what earnings I was on for this week and what companies were there, I was also kind of like, well, never traded this before, but seeing the charts does incentivize me to go and trade them in the future. So that's for sure. So tomorrow is going to be a busy day in the equity world. Also, another coaching session with me for the people who are in my group. We're going to do this catch-up session because I wasn't here in the first week of August. We're going to do an extra session tomorrow, and then of course the usual one next Tuesday. So that should be good. Have a great night as well, Duko, man. And of course, Nikki and Stussy and Kirin Rai, who are here with me still in the Discord. Appreciate it. I won't take up more of your time. I think it's not necessary. Hope you guys are armed with all the relevant levels here on Workday, Intuit, Kava, and also a couple of side tracks that we've made to other tickers. Again, hope it's helpful, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow in my coaching. That's going to be hopefully the more interesting stream. So with that being said, it's also getting late here in Europe. Nothing much to talk about. Hope that can be considered job done, and I'll see you guys and girls and ladies tomorrow. So ciao ciao.